Hi everyone, so I'm back in the office this week, which is very exciting. I'm by myself, so social distancing is going really well. And this week's video is all about how to make that move from analyst to data scientist. So I'm going to start off by defining what an analyst is versus what a data scientist is. And I've taken time over the years to speak to professionals, experts in this space, to really try and understand what those differences are. Because a data scientist job title in one business can mean something completely different in another. So you really have to get under the skin as to what the expectations of the client are for the role they're trying to hire. And obviously we segment our database as well, we keyword, we try to think laterally about candidate skills and experience and where they might fit. So again, it's really important that we have a good understanding as to somebody's strengths and weaknesses and I suppose which bucket they might fall into. So the two atypical analyst briefs that we would normally receive: marketing and campaign analytics roles and customer insight analytics roles. Marketing and campaign analytics, in my experience, tends to be a more difficult role to start off in if you're looking to move into data science. And the reason for that is because there's less of an overlap in terms of the techniques and methodologies that you might employ versus if you were working in an insights role. That also brings me nicely on to the different types of data science positions that we would, again, typically receive as briefs. The first one would be a very technical data science role, sometimes even has elements of engineering or developer work in there. And those roles tend to be focused on building or improving data science products or tools. So building recommendation engines, for example, is quite common in the roles that we receive briefs on. And they don't tend to be as business or client facing. They're quite prescriptive. You work to a brief, you deliver, again, a product or a tool, or you work to improve existing products or tools. So those are kind of the more technical data scientist vacancies that we have. And then we do also get the kind of insights-led roles as well, where there's again a bit of an overlap with the insight analyst positions of old, and you're simply employing more advanced predictive analytical techniques, predictive modelling techniques, machine learning techniques to solve business problems, to do hacking work, and to deliver insights to an end business. So I think for me, naturally, if you've studied a numerate subject, which is essential if you're going into a data science role or an insights analyst role, you need to have that mathematical grounding in order to then combine that with commercial thinking and or hacking experience. So you need to have that mathematical grounding, you need to have studied a numerate subject, and then if you've moved into an insights analyst position, it's going to be much easier for you to take that step into a fully fledged data scientist position. And I suppose that, again, brings me on nicely to another thought that I often share with candidates, which is you need to be able to realistically manage your own expectations as to how quickly you're going to be able to get into a data scientist role. You need to understand where your skill gaps are, where your strengths are, and what the expectation is of that business that's looking to hire a data scientist. So quite often I advise people to look at stepping stone roles, which will help them ultimately end up in a very technical position if that's what they want to do. And this is one of the ways that you can make that move is by going into an organisation that will give you on-the-job learning and development. And the most common places where you're going to find that opportunity are within businesses that are already going through some kind of step change themselves, or are proactively trying to upskill their workforce to become, more engaged with using machine learning techniques, AI, automation, things like natural language processing, sentiment analysis. That's really big at the moment after COVID. So you need to be smart and strategic about the kind of businesses that you're targeting, and think thinking and researching, you know, about the teams that they have there at the moment. So, you know, if you are somebody that perhaps has got a great aptitude for learning, but you've never really had any experience or opportunity to use those advanced techniques in a commercial environment, you're probably going to be better going into a decent sized team where they've got existing skills and you can learn on the job from your peers. You can maybe do some learning at home, take a couple of courses, and they you know, that business has the luxury of being able to get you up to speed and take time to train and develop. If it's a small startup that are advertising for a data scientist and they're hiring one person and you're going to be the only person in that business delivering supposedly data science projects, it's unlikely they're going to take a chance on somebody that doesn't have existing commercial experience in those areas. So so that's one way of doing it, is by identifying businesses that are, as I say, on themselves going on that journey and really, you know, demonstrating that you have the ability to learn quickly, that you have an interest in doing that, that you've got the right grounding in a mathematical subject, and that you've proven to be commercially minded and a problem solver when it comes to using statistical analytics and modelling. The secondary option is to go and take some courses. So you could do that first, and there are a number of different organisations that offer really good training in data science subjects. Those would be Udemy, Coursera, General Assembly, and S2DS. So all of those organisations offer really good, credible, recognised courses in data science, and I've seen people in their own time you know, pay for courses, get those under their belt, and then go out into the market as a candidate that has not only spent the time learning about all those new methodologies and techniques, learning Python at home, you know, whatever it might be. That in itself tells your potential future employer that you are interested in self-development, that you can do it on your own, that you're independent, that you're a self-starter, and that you're serious enough about it and you're going to put in the time and effort to actually upskill and learn and go the extra mile. Sends a slightly different message, and we've had lots of success introducing people that have gone above and beyond and taken time out in their spare time to really upskill. I quite often would introduce somebody with that profile as I say, as somebody with all those really attractive competencies and traits: self-starter, you know, as I say, independent, proactive, learns quickly, you know, really interested in being at the forefront of analytics. It paints a really attractive picture. And you can do that right at the beginning of your career, or, you know, if you're kind of midway through as well. You know, quite often senior analysts will say to me, Kate, I really want to get exposure to more advanced analytical work. How am I going to do that? How am I going to become a data scientist? And so I would say actually the best thing to do is to kind of combine both options, is to get some kind of training, get some courses under your belt, and then start to take yourself out to market as somebody that is really serious about making that move. So just lastly, to come on to the technologies, I would suggest, if you're currently using SQL with Python but you've never used R, it would be worth at least playing around with it in your spare time. Certainly the other way around, because Python does seem to be the preferred tool of choice at the moment. If you're using R and SQL, you need to learn Python at home. You need to get on with that. As I say, it really is the preferred tool of choice at the moment in the market. It's the one that we always get asked for, and it just demonstrates that interest in self-development and self-learning. So I think there's always something you can be doing at home to continue to upskill, keep yourself invested in that part of the market. There's Kaggle competitions, you know, there's loads of hackathons that you can get involved in. Even if you think you're going to do terribly, it's worth just starting to get exposure to those kind of projects and that type of work, and getting involved in that community, because it really is a community. So I think overall the takeaway for me would be, you need to have the right building blocks in place. You need to have the mathematical education behind you. You need to have that theory and that knowledge, and that will give you confidence, or should give you confidence. Secondly, you need to have the right commercial experience. You need to really have been doing some kind of modelling, I would say, and doing commercially led, solutions focused statistical insights analytical work. That's the kind of work I think would translate the best. You haven't got as far to go. People are more likely to take a punt and you know, give you a job and give you some training. And then it's all about attitude and your attitude towards, as I say, self-development, your ability to demonstrate your aptitude for learning, which you can do through doing courses and things like that. And then it's wholly possible because, as I say, you might want to end up in a very, very technical data scientist position, but there are many other different types of data scientist roles that you can go through in order to get there. So just manage your own expectations, make sure you're realistic about how quickly that's going to happen, and try and plan your strategy behind, you know, making that career move. Talk to people like me, get some advice, get some feedback, and make sure you go into businesses that are able to offer you that career development, so that genuinely after a year and a half, 2 years, you are that much further and, you know, along the line and closer to your end goal. So I hope that's useful. As always, questions, comments in the boxes below. Would love to hear feedback from you guys on any other organisations that offer really good training and development and courses. So pop some recommendations in the comments below as well for other people. And I will see you again next time.